Hi and welcome to this week's Peace Diaries number 2. If you're tuning in for the first time, I'm Helen Jane Rose. I'm a channel, author, energy healer and automatic writer, and we bring you these weekly reports, I guess, written through automatic writing from the Divine Council. I've been working with the Divine Council for a number of years now, which ended up in a book. I didn't realise I was writing a book called The Coming Times, A Pathway to Inner Peace. And these have kind of come out of from the book. So I will be reading verbatim the weekly message and guidance that I receive from the DC, as we affectionately call them. And then Jed will be joining me, who is an acupuncturist, a cranial sacral therapist and energy healer. And he'll be joining me and he'll be helping us to unpack the channeled messages in a way that is more relatable. And so I'll be asking him some questions and then he'll be answering, and we'll be chatting about the report and sort of trying to understand it more, and in the process hopefully helping everybody else to understand it a bit better too, and just to ground it a little bit more. And I'll also probably be doing a live meditation. It seems to be going that way, that at the end of the report I just stop and see what wants to come through me. I hope you're all doing well, sending love, and I will not waste any more time and start reading out this week's Peace Diaries. Welcome, beautiful souls, to this week's Peace Diaries 2. To peace becoming a more important part of your life. Peace within to experience peace without. When you can truly hold the vibration of peace from within you, you emanate peace out from you, and then it's reflected back to you. We will keep reminding you of this because it's such an alien concept to your mind. Yet to your soul self, it's truth and what wishes to be unlocked from within you. You are peace. You are peace. You are peace. How does that feel when we say this to you? What does it conjure up from within you? Our mission and purpose is to help you remember and experience the peace at the very heart of you, to life becoming the blessing it was supposed to be for you, to remembering your innate power that belongs to you. You are a co-creator of your life. You are far more powerful than you've been led to believe. In fact, you could say that you've been taught very well how to disempower yourselves, living blindly to how you can really empower yourself. Why is it even necessary, you may ask? And to many it's not. Yet to those who are diligently questioning within, trying to better themselves, if you like, trying to follow their soul self more and more, there is much wisdom in trying to empower yourselves. For in taking steps to remembering who you really are, you are doing just that. Our aim with our weekly reports is to help you shift more and more into being in the world, yet knowing you are not of it. This will be a very helpful perspective to have, yet to feel it changes everything. Where fear subsides and peace resides. We wish to hold you for a moment in a sacred space, opening up a bridge between us and you. As we bring our messages and guidance to you, a bridge, a portal if you like, is created as we communicate with you. Soon we will be bringing you daily messages which will be most helpful to you. We remind you that if life feels challenging at the moment, if you're feeling stuck in a rut, so to speak, if life has ejected you from your comfort seat, please remember this: life is happening for you. Perhaps that triggers you when we say this to you, and we understand why. Many would say that we are talking utter nonsense, yet it is up to you to decide where your consciousness is at. To stay in 3D or move to 5D? This is the question. To reside in lower consciousness or to consciously choose to rise higher? To break free of your mind's hold over you or to stay stuck in lower vibrations? We use these labels only as helpful signposts, as they are terms that you're used to. We'd prefer to say to you, choosing to believe you are fully of the world, or choosing to believe you are fully in the world but knowing you are not of it. Two very different levels of consciousness. One sees you stuck in the lower dimensions, if you like. The other sees you free to live in the higher dimensions. Now, what does this even mean for you? It means that if you choose to consciously activate the higher aspect of you, this is very beneficial for you. You then care for the world in a different way. You become a leader of light rather than a feeder of fear. Some on the world stage at large and others in the background. Both are as important. You are all supporting one another to rise into the light, if you like. Every day, ask yourselves, are you aligning with love or fear? Are you taking steps to align more with the peace at the heart of you, so that you move more and more into a loving state of loving you? And loving you is a very powerful place for you to be. We love you and look forward to you fully loving you too. The DC. Just gonna open myself up and just allow any messages or any extra support for us that wants to come through me now. So I'm just going to close my eyes. Okay, so I'm just seeing in my mind's eye the words a little peace meditation. And that this is just a little meditation to quite simply help us to just feel and touch that space of peace that's within all of us, that stillness, that place of silence that's behind all our thinking and behind all our emotions too. And it's that place of stillness. That's essentially our source. That as we consciously connect more and more there, can feed us in a different way to our mind. It can feed our nervous system. And it can feed our mind in terms of helping our mind to slow down and to realise that that stillness, that silence is full of so much and is so beneficial to us, and that there is only really one way of accessing that still point within us, that stillness, that silence, and that it is just through practice. There's no other way other than to practice it, because it's a state that is so alien to us that it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes practice. And just to remember that, and to honour ourselves that when we're really trying to feel that stillness, and perhaps we're feeling emotions rise instead and we're feeling agitated, just to allow that to be, and to know that that's just bubbling up because, if you like, it's in the way and it needs to be released. And that every time we do these practices, even just for like 5 minutes, even just to consciously try and sit in stillness and allow whatever needs to come up, we're helping to cultivate that state of peace from within us. And they're just saying now just to simply start to feel yourself breathing. And just to imagine with your mind's eye that you are focusing on the tip of your nose. And you're just putting your awareness to the tip of your nose, as you just feel your body breathing for you. Just resting your awareness there for a moment. And then just having your hands facing upward. And just imagining for a moment that in your left hand has been placed a small ball of white energy, if you like. And you're just holding it cupped in your hand. And that small ball of energy wants to be placed into your heart center. And as and when it feels right for you, you're just going to move your hand to your heart. You're just going to hold your hand on your heart as you allow that energy to move into your heart space. I'm just going to sit with your hand on your heart for a few moments. And then you're going to move your awareness to your right hand. And again, you're going to imagine, visualize that ball of energy has been placed in your right hand. Some of you might even get real sensation, feeling this energy as a gift to you. Imagine a gift to you from your higher self, your higher aspect. And with this hand, when you feel ready, you're going to move this hand to your stomach, and you're going to place your hand there. You're going to open to allowing that energy to move into your stomach. And you're just going to sit for a few moments. Your hand on your heart and your hand on your stomach. Just allowing wherever you are at within you to be absolutely perfect for you in this moment. Perhaps you might notice there's more space in your mind. And perhaps you might notice that your body feels a little more relaxed just from having your hands placed where they are. And perhaps you may feel intuitively that you wish to breathe a little deeper. Perhaps feeling a little more connected with your body. When you're ready, just allowing yourself to just slowly open your eye and come back into the room and fully present to yourself and your body, and perhaps feeling a little more grounded and present within yourself. I think I do feel, don't want to sound surprised, I think I do feel a bit more present within myself after that. I think I do feel a little bit more grounded in myself, so I hope you do too. And now Jed's going to come and join me and we're going to unpack the report.
Hi. I've just enjoyed another beautiful channeling and meditation. I feel very relaxed, calm, I guess grounded after that meditation. I can see a pattern running where there's the physical connection, so you're checking in with the now moment, so the tip of the nose in this occasion, they've used other methods, and then they're engaging with the right brain visualization, so you're in a creative brain, female brain, and the combination of those moves you inside, and they start a process of inner peace and focusing on energy. I mean, all those things combined makes meditation a lot more simple. Anyone can do it. There used to be a thought process where not many could, but pretty much everyone can do that. You don't have to be a yogi sat in a cave for weeks on end. It takes 5 minutes and it changes your state, and you'll start to notice that change of state and want to do more. So you can turn that into a 10-minute meditation, put your own music on or whatever. But the key things there, physical connection and the right brain. You get those two components in and you've nailed it. So thank you to Helen, thank you to the DC.
Yeah.
And welcome to the unpacking, if you like, of Peace Diaries 2.
Yes, yeah, indeed. So, have a few questions to ask you. So the first one that would be really good for you to talk about is, why do you think it's so alien to our mind to understand this sense of peace, this sense of silence from within ourselves?
Well, we're used to creating from the outside in. I mean, that's how we've perceived and understood our world. And so why would peace be any different? And so we're being asked, I guess, to change our whole process, literally turning on its head, and that's not an overnight job. But I guess what we're used to seeing and experiencing in the world, when you go on holiday or you go for a walk in the woods, or like we do, float around on our paddleboard, it creates peace. So then you feel good inside. And so then you make that link that doing something on the outside creates the peace. But it's temporary peace, because, you could leave the beach and, have something happen between then and on the way home that irritated you, triggered you, upset you, or even affected you in some way, shape or form. Where's the peace gone? And so that's a short-lived experience. But what the DC are talking about is a generalised experience of peace. And for that, to experience the journey home from the beach, if you like, and things happen to you and still maintain a peaceful state, you've still got to react in certain ways in the human self. But for that peace to be still there afterwards, they're saying that begins on the inside. And that's what this journey is all about, really.
Yeah, that was a great explanation.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that was great. And I also feel as well that our mind is so reliant on us thinking all the time. So that is like that natural state for our mind, that the thoughts are what are driving us constantly. And so to have that, try and cultivate that space where there is silence and there is peace within us, I guess to our mind, that is also totally alien, right? Because that's our soul self coming in, which is my easiest way of describing it for myself. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I kind of have that definition where the soul self is like the silent part that's communicating to us through the silence, and the mind is where the thoughts are racing. And so it's like trying to give more space to the soul self, but to the mind, that feels a bit freaky.
Well, I was going to say bragging rights, but the soul's not interested in bragging rights. The soul has been patient for eons, not just this lifetime, but many others, and so it will continue to wait and for those silent moments. But the ego is conditioned to be busy.
Yeah.
And the idea of nothing happening is actually quite scary for it.
Yeah.
Because if it's not doing anything, it's not protecting you. So, you need to look at it. It's not designed to hurt you, or it's not around to hurt you or irritate you. It's doing its best to keep you safe. So we need to re-educate it. Yes. And encourage it, introduce it to the soul, if you like. And let it know it can have a day off now and again. I'm sure it would be very grateful for that. So yeah, education is the key, and that comes through practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that just reminded me of something that was said in the channeling with the meditation. Patience, practice, and what was the other one? Time. So we'll often say to ourselves, I've got no time, I haven't got patience for that, and practice, that's just really irritating. And so that's the mind, that's the ego, because it doesn't want to do things that sit in the background, basically. We do have time, we have got patience if we want to, and we can practice, so none of those are valid excuses, and they're not permissible.
Yes. And moving on. And I totally agree. So I thought it was quite interesting when they said, you are peace, and they repeated that 3 times, and then said, how does that feel to you when we say this? What does it conjure up? And just wondering how that
Well,
was.
you first, how did that
Okay. So when I read it back, it makes me, it's sort of that inner knowing of, yeah, we are, I know we are, but how do you, ultimately that is like our natural state. I know that with my, I wanted to say my mind, but that's not true. I know that with my soul self, that peace is a natural state to us. But I think then it conjures up how difficult it is. If it's so natural to us that we are that natural state, it's so difficult. That's probably my...
Well, they've repeated it 3 times, and so I imagine there's a reason for that. They're trying to drill it home. There's an energetic value, there's an activation value in it. They're wanting us to really hear it, so that, to me, that means that we don't hear it, or we don't feel it, and we don't accept it as the norm, and it's something that's separate from us and different, and maybe even seemingly unattainable. I have to say, when I heard that reiterated 3 times, it did trigger a little bit of sort of religious feeling about it. Didn't actually...
Interesting.
I don't know what I need to sort of sit with that. Maybe that's just my stuff, but yeah, it's the... It doesn't, take much for us to look around in the world to know that we're not at peace. So it's kind of like a challenging concept, but I think we have to dig deeper and realise what they're actually saying to us is that we're peaceful in our true nature, and we've created a nature that's not peaceful, and it's about unpacking it and finding our way towards that. And this is what the Peace Diaries are all about. Creating peace from the inside out, and then it will become our nature, and we will understand it, and we will accept it. But right now it's difficult, and they're saying that as well. It is difficult. But if we get embroiled in all the noise and the absence of peace, if you like, then you're going into that energy. So someone's got to find the courage and bravery to step out of it and start creating peace in our lifetime. It's not copping out. You're not hiding away. You're finding the courage to create a new reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And true leaders and true light workers, that's difficult, but keep doing it and it will happen.
Yeah, and then and I think the more you try and practice, it's like then the drama and the chaos, it's interesting. It feels more intense, but at the same time, it feels much more distant, doesn't it? It's like there's this like juxtaposition.
Well, you create space from it.
Yeah.
Which they come on to a little bit later when they say, in it, not of it, don't they?
Yeah.
We shall come on to that.
Which we'll work our way through. So the DC, they say to remind us that their purpose and their mission is to remind us of who we really are, and to help our life to kind of become the blessing that it's supposed to be for us, that it isn't. They sort of, allude to the fact that it's much harder than it should be. And so how do you feel? Do you feel that up until this point that feels like that's the work so far?
Well, I think the reason they've included it in this is to, I guess, shorten the bridge to separation from whoever the DC are and wherever they hang out, to kind of soften that a little bit and bring it a bit closer to home, because essentially they're us. And when they say that their mission is to help us remember and becoming peaceful at heart and enjoying a beautiful environment, that's got to be our mission as well, hasn't it? I mean, that's what everybody wants. So that means they are us. I likened it to, now the World Cup's on, a kind of cosmic team where they're coaching from another dimensional space, and we're the team on the pitch. But the coach and the team want the same thing. They all want to achieve something, do their best. So I think that's why they included it. It does feel to me, as we work with them, and obviously you've worked with them for a lot longer, I'm sitting here listening to it, but I do feel a connection through these channelings for sure, and I'm sure anyone who follows regularly, maybe you feel it too, and I'm glad they're on our side. I'm glad I've got them as my coach, as I find it very helpful. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a very big topic in itself. How, when they talk about that, we're taught very well how to be disempowered, but we sort of live blindly in terms of how to really empower ourselves. And to me, personally, I think my biggest disempowerment started at the beginning of school, in terms of you start to be compared. I mean, I think to a certain extent there is some comparison that goes on if you come from like a family of lots of children, and there's always going to be, but I think the deliberate disempowerment where you're almost pitted against one another from a very young age, for me, I'd say that definitely happened when I started school. I'm just wondering, when would you say for you?
For sure, I mean, school is where the disempowerment begins for most of us. I'm sure some would, unfortunate children before that, but certainly for the main body of people, it's at school. I mean, putting in a different side of the classroom because you haven't done a certain times table or read a certain level of book is basically insanity. SATs for kids that are 7 years of age, creating anxiety, and it's all designed to keep you small. School, I guess the educational system, I think, without going too much into that, they'll claim that it's teaches you how to solve problems, but we should be taught how to create problems. We shouldn't have any fear of making mistakes, creating anything. We shouldn't be judged for creating anything. And you should be free to express your gifts, your talents, whatever it is that you love in life. You pretty much know what you love, even when you're a child, but you're told to do maths, English and science and useless topics like that. Well, not absolutely useless, but you know what I'm saying.
Lots of things that you will never, ever, ever use again in your entire life.
I mean, does anyone remember anything from school? But we're definitely not encouraged to be creative.
Yes.
Then you've got the other aspect of it is that, there are people on the planet, let's say the ruling classes, if you like, the people that hold the purse keys that control, they do know how creation works and they know how to get us to create for them. They understand it, and they will do their level best for us not to understand it, because that's, that pulls the plug out of their power and puts everyone else, every other member of the human family, in their own seat of power. So it's up to us now to realise that that's been going on, that creation comes from you, within you, and to believe that you create, and to become self-empowered. It's a journey we're on at the moment. The ruling classes know that it's a journey we're on at the moment, and they're doing their level best to make life difficult for us, to cause chaos and to distract us from this emerging rise of self-empowerment. But pay no attention to it. Trust in your own growth, your own self, and that you can create anything you want, because we're all from the same place. There's no one different, separate, and at the source DNA level. It's just how you use it and what you're willing to accept about yourself.
Yeah, which quite nicely leads on to where they talk about when we're on this path and when we start to, we're curious and we're starting to ask questions, and that how that helps to lead to self-empowerment. maybe this is an obvious question, but why do you think that is?
Why do I think what?
Okay, so they talk about how when we're on the path of self-empowerment, we start to become much more curious and we start to ask a lot more questions. Like inwardly, we're starting to ask a lot of questions. And they sort of adhere to the fact that helps to lead to self-empowerment. I suppose it's quite an obvious question, but how, to simplify it, why is that such an important part of this path?
Well, the curiosity is the journey back. So you're basically unpicking. So the human experience has been moving away from itself, from source energy for eons. And if you subscribe to the astrological perspective on this, we've reached the maximum point of moving away, and we're now moving back towards the God self, the source energy. And that brings with it a questioning.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you question further, you start to unpick all the patterns, the beliefs, the stories you told yourself, the dramas, everything you've attached to by yourself and others. And you pull the threads on it and start to realise that they're not true. And as you do that, then you start to make space for your soul light to come in. And that's the energy that Helen was alluding to earlier. When you meditate, that soul information comes through. So you start to remember who you are. So the more questions you can ask, without even necessarily wanting to know the answers, well, you want more questions rather than answers. But you definitely start to realise the fakeness of the reality that we've been living in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's the journey back to remembering who you are.
Which leads quite nicely on to the next question, which is regarding how they reiterate again that we're ultimately our highest place where we can put our consciousness is to really realise that we are in the world, but we're not of it. So again, it's talking about that distance between being here, but not actually being attached to here, because we ultimately know that we're not from here as such. And then they really hone in today and say that to really feel that changes everything. Now, that's obviously the really hard bit, to actually really feel it. And I feel like I do go in and out of feeling it for sure, and then being involved in something that's very we might refer to as 3D, and trying to hold that perspective. And it's when I feel like you get tested the most. But I suppose, what would your advice be on how we navigate this?
Well, I think it depends on what kind of person you are. So the empath, for example, you've got the blessing and the curse of the empath. So the empath will feel it straight away. So any situation, being faced with maybe a war bulletin on the news, they literally feel that war experience in their body. And if you're an empath who, I guess, has become self-aware, you'll acknowledge those feelings and then quickly understand that that's not you. You can send love if you want to those places that you've seen on the TV, or and just discharge the energy that's come up from that, and then understand that you're not of it. The empath that, I guess, hasn't really understood their true nature, if you like, will get stuck with that, and they'll feel that, and then they'll embody it, and then that becomes a very difficult place for them. They then feel that they're in that and not of it. Or is it the way around? Of it, not in it. But then you've got the other character who's not an empath, who might see something and want to get involved, like to react.
Yeah.
And they want to get physically involved in some way, or mentally, and take part in the process, and get very angry or irate or sad or whatever. And then they take that home with them afterwards and try and process it and feel it. I think that's the more difficult one. Because sometimes the world asks us to take action, but it's finding, again, the courage sometimes just to have a bit of space between what's actually taking place and understanding that there's an event that's for your benefit, that's asking you to pay attention to it. So if conflict keeps, for example, keeps showing up in your life, whether that's on the news or on the street or wherever, it's because you've got unresolved conflict inside yourself. And so the awareness comes in with that. It's like, okay, well, what is going on with me? Why am I needing to see this conflict scenario over and over and over again? And you do work, or you find someone to help you do work on this, and you go to the root and you pull it out. And so I guess to answer the question simply is self-awareness. Yeah. Where are you at in that scenario? And if you choose to sort of stand back and look at yourself and your role in it and accept that you're not separate from it, then it starts to heal and it won't show up as much.
So I think that this is very much linked to what you've been saying, but it's a very tricky concept what I want to talk about next, which is where they talk about to remember that life is happening for you. So regardless of what's going on. And I think that this is a really important part of this journey, is for our perspectives to shift and to realise, and I guess it's quite helpful in hindsight when you look back at some of like the biggest challenges and you realise and you can actually see the gold in it, but you couldn't at the time. And at the time it might have felt like the whole kind of world was crashing in on you, but on the other side of it, it's much easier to look back and to realise why something happened. So I'm wondering, like, in your practice, how, and this would be helpful for everybody, how would you explain, like, to your clients that this concept of life is actually always happening for you?
Well, I asked them to basically interrogate the situation.
Right.
And to really drill in into it. And the important thing is, has this happened before? Is this a pattern? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I've ever had an occasion where someone said it's a one and only. It might not be an exact situation, but there's normally a familiarity, a life experience happening. And they'll often say to me, oh yeah, I remember a few years ago when I was at university or whatever, but very rarely do they draw attention to early life.
Yeah. And
that's where I sort of take them to, if you like. Mm-hmm. And when they make that connection that there was learned behaviour as a child, once they've got over beating their mum and dad up or their carer, then they accept that there's a pattern running and a program running that they've got control of. Because when it is a pattern, it's yours, and you have complete control to change that pattern. But you have to make a choice. It is like going to the gym, and then you've got to really change the program, pull the plug out of the power that you've given to it before, and then move forward and choose a different way.
Yeah, great. Very
but
good.
Pretty much all of the repeat patterns come from knee high, and that's by design.
Yeah.
And when they say, therefore, what was the term they used?
Life is always happening for you.
Yeah, so there's a benefit always. So the very simple one, if you've come out of an abusive relationship because you've been in 3 or 4 in your life, the universe was giving you the choice to step out of it. If one came to an end, if your very first, if abusive relationships was a pattern, coming from this life or another life, and your first relationship ended, maybe by your choice or their choice, but you hadn't dealt with it, and then another one no longer comes along, then you've not cleared your pattern. So you need to feel it, and so the universe gives you quite a few to
yeah, I know that.
to really understand that this is a pattern of behaviour that needs to be changed. And so therefore, as difficult as that experience was, you ask anyone who's been through it, they'll say that they don't regret the experience because they've changed from it.
Yeah.
There was one thing I wanted you to clarify for me.
Mm-hmm.
They said, we wish to hold you for a moment in a sacred space, opening up a bridge between us and you. As we bring our messages and guidance to you, a bridge, in brackets, a portal, is created as we communicate with you. Soon we will be bringing you daily messages which will be most helpful to you. Just wondering what your take on that was. This sort of bridge portal thing was intriguing.
So I understood it that they were referring to when they bring their messages and guidance and we consciously listen, we're engaging, knowing at that deep level that it's not coming from like this dimension, if you like. And so that as we consciously connect in there, it's like a bridge gets created and it gets stronger for us to be able to, because like going back to what you were saying before, we are all a part of the higher consciousness. We just have to realise that, and that's part of our empowerment, that the DC are a higher aspect of ourselves, or you just wouldn't be drawn to listen to the messages and guidance, or an aspect of a higher part of yourself that, we all have a higher aspect of ourselves. And so I think this is how I take it, that it's like this bridge is created where it's like that portal, we're opening up to connecting to that higher consciousness, and it's becoming stronger.
So the bridge strengthening.
That's how.
Yeah.
That was my perception.
The idea of a daily download as well is interesting. I mean, we don't know what that is yet, but maybe when it comes, that can be used as an alarm button, if you like, to go into your meditation. So you read or listen to whatever's coming through on a daily basis, and then go and do your 5-minute meditation. It could be a helpful tool. We look forward to whenever that comes through.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's quite interesting when they're talking about like the choice to stay in 3D or move to 5D, and obviously this path is all about trying to shift into living in higher consciousness and responding to life from that higher consciousness. But how do you think we can measure that? Like how do we know that we're shifting into a higher level of consciousness and we're not really just stuck in 3D thinking that we are because we've read a number of books, for example?
Well, I mean, they're referring to the message that they've used labels because that's what we want, and that's what we're used to. We have names for everybody and everything. We have league tables and measurements, and in a linear reality that we're in. So they have to, I guess, adopt our vernacular and step into the mind of a human. Is it helpful? I suppose it is at some stage, and then at some stage you need to drop it. How do you measure a movement into a higher state? The obvious one is, how peaceful do you feel? Which is what all this is about. And what does your life look like? Are you completely immersed in the story of 3D? Or are you, we venture into 5D, and that is the peaceful world. It's a sustainable, peaceful world, a compassionate world, a connected world where there's no existence of war. I personally feel that the vast majority of the human race does not want war, and that we just haven't found the wherewithal or the understanding or the way to break that, allowing people that are completely invested in a warring situation, who've not got our best interests at heart, to take the reins. But I think that will change. I'm confident that will change. But yeah, I don't. It's probably not helpful, but necessary to measure it.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is at the moment. And so a measurement for me would be definitely peace.
Yeah, that absolutely. So do you, going on from that, do you think that we can simultaneously be in different levels of consciousness?
I think we are, yeah. And the more, and that's a moving target. The more and more you become self-reflective, the more and more you become self-aware, the more and more you meditate, the more and more you desire inner peace, then you're going to lean into the higher state of consciousness, or let's say another state of consciousness, without measuring it.
Yeah.
So yes, we're definitely in two-dimensional states, if not more.
Yes. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I think we've said this before. There's no victims on this planet. Everything is by design for our benefit in some way, shape or form, to expanding consciousness, to create inner peace, and that involves you being a player in the game rather than being played. And that requires you to be sovereign. So we really need to stand up. Don't be scared of your gifts, your skills, your qualities, no matter what you think of them or how embarrassed you might be by them, whatever they are. Go and play with them and bring them to the party, because someone wants to connect with them out there somewhere, and we need to start finding the freedom to be ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just thought, when you were talking about not being a victim, if you have got the book The Coming Times, there's a really helpful chapter in there that's actually called From Victim to Victor. I think that's the title, but I feel like it's a chapter that I think explains quite profoundly, but also kind of practically, for your mind to sort of engage and understand it, explaining kind of the difference between how we've lived as being a victim for so long and what it actually means to shift out of being a victim and coming into self-responsibility and higher perspectives. So yeah, if you do have the book, maybe just open it up again and just refresh it, because I feel like with everything that we're talking about, the reason why the DC keep repeating what they repeat is we need to keep hearing it. We need to keep, our mind at some point will come on board. And so the more that we keep talking about it, the more that we keep, I guess, reading about it and doing the practices, the more beneficial it becomes, the more real it becomes compared to our old reality.
And if you haven't got the book, it's available on Amazon in multiple formats and languages.
It is. Okay.
Thank you for listening, watching.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Welcome your comments.
Absolutely. Any feedback would be gratefully received.
And we look forward to seeing you at number 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Sending love and blessings.
Yeah. Bye.